You shot straight, but you shot late. Hi, 11. This is the Rundown Podcast.
I'm gonna give you the rundown.
Say, man, hey, man, it's OG Jacario. Now I'm back at you with another one. And breaking news, that's right, Tory Lanez leaked footage of that prison attack. Him being stabbed 14 times by that inmate there. Disgruntled inmate who says that he's claiming self-defense for the attack that he did on Tory. Santino Casillo, that's right, already a convicted murderer, and he was serving time in there. Same Tehachapi prison that Tory Lanez is serving out his 10-year sentence at. And just so happened that it was all kind of reports, conflicted reports, rumors, right? Everybody had this to say and that to say about what happened. And even an inmate called in from the Tehachapi prison, right, to give a so-called interview about the real story about what happened. But now that we see the footage, some of what this guy says in this audio, this inmate is claiming that this the real story, and Tory was coughing up blood and right screaming for help. Well, he was screaming for help, but we seen Tory jump up and also run back down the stairs, right, to go get help. So you know what he said in the video, in the audio of him talking about the incident there at Tehachapi, some of that don't add up. And as we see now that we view the footage, this leaked footage, obviously an inmate had intel that this was going to happen, because why was this illegal phone, this contraband as they call it, this was recorded on a legal device, a cell phone as we know. And why was that cell phone from this unknown inmate? Maybe it was this same inmate, right, who called in and made these allegations of this is what happened, okay, that we hear on the audio there. And did he record this video of his homeboy who told him, he says in the audio, Santino told him that he was going to attack Tory because Tory had been talking shit, right? And he was basically making it seem as if he was going to stand right there and, you know, stand guard and nobody was going to jump in. And we don't see no Mexican. Well, I don't see a Mexican in the background standing around. I just seen two black brothers. One brother when it first starts off. And you also see, I'm assuming that's Tory Lanez, in the first seconds of the video when it starts, he walks over, it seems like, to Casillo's cell for some reason. And you can see this inmate walking up, getting ready to go down the stairs as it begins. He's putting on his shirt, okay? So the individual that we see walking over to the cell, and he's reaching up at the top of the door for something, okay? I think that's Tory right there. And he walks back into his cell. And then as you see this other inmate, another black guy, coming up the stairs with his tray, right, with his food, his chow as they call it. And as soon as that inmate reaches the top, okay, with that tray, and he's getting ready to make that left, because if you make a right, you can't make a right because that's somebody's cell. And I think that's where Tory was at. You know, his cell was right there to the right when you come up the steps. Santino was right there. So it was true information about that they were neighbors, right? Their cells was right there. That's how Santino was able to get up close on Tory. And I broke that down in my previous video. But we're going to check out the audio, right, that this inmate, this Hispanic guy, called his relative and said this is the real story. But we don't see him nowhere in the footage, okay, even though the footage is grainy. But, you know, as that inmate reached, you know, the top of that stairway with his tray and made that left, that's when you see the shadow of Santino, obviously, pop out, and Tory Lanez, you know, getting stabbed and jabbed up by Essay, right? I'm talking about he's swinging wild with it too. He coming from back here like Sean Kim. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, man. So, but luckily, you know, Tory Lanez survived that attack, and we see him jump up and run down the stairs. So it wasn't like he was just sitting there gurgling and gargling, spitting up blood like, the essay claimed. So let's check this audio out. Run it.
Prepaid call from
Ephraim Byers.
an incarcerated individual at the California Correctional Institution, Tehachapi, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Alright, you hear me? So look, this is what really happened, right? So basically, we wake up early in the morning, right? For bloodline, damn, my door opens, right? And I walk out, and the homie's right there standing there, and he calls me over, and he's like, Savage, come here. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, bro, I'm about to get this. And I was like, who? He's like, Tory. I was like, for what? And he's like, this what he's on top. And I already told him, I don't play like that, bro. I'm going to get you if you don't talk. So then I was like, all right, don't trip. I'm right here. So then all of a sudden, that fool's door opens, that fool comes out, and then that fool runs up on him, and that fool starts stabbing that fool. But you can just tell that that fool got his lungs punctured because when he was laying on the ground, he's right there yelling, help, please, stop, help. And you can just hear him breathing like, you see him coughing up blood and some more. But it's just crazy, all these little stories going around that aren't even true, talking about there's going to be retaliation and some more shit, because if there was retaliation, it would have happened right there, you know what I'm saying? One of the black did try to hop up, and I told him, bro, you better sit down, bro, because if you hop up and get involved, you all know all the messages are going to jump, and it's going to be bad for you, bro. And you don't owe no money. How does a millionaire owe money in prison? That's you know what I'm saying? And there was no visits that day, so how the is there going to be some visit? I mean, I don't know if that really happened, but I know that day, the homie didn't tell me nothing about this boy talking about picture. He got in my visit, none of that. You know what I'm saying? But that's what really happened. You feel me? I was right there. I'm a porter. I had to clean up his blood right there, mopping up all that fool's blood. I thought that fool died, but I guess not. But it's just crazy, all these little crazy stories that are going around that aren't even true. But that's really what happened from someone that was right there, seeing the whole watched it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Now, you see what I'm saying? As you heard, some of the details just don't add up. When did they have this conversation about, that Santino was going to, do something to Tory for talking shit? So this inmate is claiming that he had a conversation. Maybe it occurred early that morning, right? And maybe since he had the information that Santino was going to attack Tory, right? This inmate who called in with this audio, right, of the real story, already had a device to record the incident happening. And maybe this is the visual that we're seeing. So, that's just my opinion, because it's very odd that, he placed himself, basically in the visual of the area during the attack, but we don't see him visually during the attack of Tory. We only see, Santino with the knife, as they allege is him, and he's claiming now self-defense. So yeah, he's basically saying, yeah, that was me that attacked him, right? And it's because I heard Tory say he had a hit out on me, but Tory was claiming that he heard that Santino had a hit out on him. Put a bag on his head and all this here. And then you even had Tory rapping about it, during the time he would, be recording there at the prison, I guess over the phone or however he had mastered doing that. Okay, so I guess the, inmates there were talking upon themselves and said, hey, look, Tory had recorded a verse where he's saying he's putting bags on people's head, there in the yard at the prison. And people better be careful, right? Because of this power that he had. And money, not to forget that. And so, this is where, the lines got blurred. And, both of these fellas were thinking that each of them were out to do each other harm. Now, many of those assumptions would turn out to be true, right? The speculation that many had because of the lyrics that Tory was writing and recording in that prison. putting bags on people's heads there at the prison.
Sent me to prison and all that it taught me is if it go down how to stab the shit out you. Tommies and bunkers, the knives, the thumpers, the lock and the sockets, to crack the shit out you. I call a shot on the yard, you a problem. My son out there hitting cash out the shit out you. Standing on business is standing on business. JP the killers is stand on the witness. COs are hating, they banning my visit.
Okay, so when TMZ, they interviewed Santino, he says that, he heard through the prison grapevine that Lanez was planning to attack him and had put a bounty on his head, a bag. Casillo added that he then crossed paths with the Canadian rapper and that he saw something bulging out of his pocket. Now, hold on. We don't see in the video Lanez and Casillo cross paths, but if he means that, like I explained, I seen Lanez come from his cell to go over to Casillo's cell, right? He was reaching at the top of Casillo's door there for some reason. So is that what he means by crossing paths, and he's seen that Tory already had the banger on him? Maybe so, but let's continue. The convict said he believed it was a weapon, so he attacked Lanez. And like I said, when Lanez went back into his, cell, that's when the inmate comes up the step with the tray, and the inmate is turning to, walk, down the walkway, and he looks back and he sees Casillo running out of his cell, attacking Lanez that was coming out of the cell again for some reason. I guess Lanez was about to go back over there. I mean, who knows, but the video is very grainy, but we do definitely see, that this incident could have kind of went how Casillo is saying in this interview. Casillo and Lanez used to be based in neighboring cells and allegedly had a previous positive relationship. So, like I explained in my previous video about this whole incident, they said that Lanez had, bought everybody Christmas commissary and things of that nature. He was, helping guys get in this program that he developed to help them beat their cases if they have been, wrongly accused and prosecuted in prison. So Lanez was helping a lot of people, right? And this right here proves that, yeah, they were cool at one point, but it was when, allegedly, Casillo said that Lanez was talking shit, right? And had put a bag on his head. How did that happen? Well, maybe we'll find out. Now, it continues on to say that it is not known what led to the breakdown in their relationship, while Casillo also claims to have been stabbed during the melee himself, right? So the one that was doing the stabbing, Casillo, is claiming that he also was stabbed, in that incident, because they never said that Tory was found with a banger, a shank on him. I don't even think they found the one that Casillo had on him.
Did he end up having a weapon on him? I mean, obviously I got a stab mark in my leg, but that's going to the hole. I mean, they didn't find no weapons either. I don't understand that one. But, okay, so the weapons were found from him, only from you? No weapon was mine. The weapon I was using wasn't found either. There was no weapons found. Where'd it go? That's what in the video it showed me putting it on the floor. That's what they were asking me. I don't know. Nobody was around. It was just me and him on the chair. There wasn't no day room. Nobody was standing next to us. It was just me and him.
Now, the article I just read was a brief synopsis, a summary, right? A lightweight version, edited version, right? Of what, Santino had to say in the TMZ interview about why he felt threatened, by Tory Lanez. And also in that audio recording, he gets into great detail, and he says that, during the attack on Tory, right? He didn't realize he had stabbed him 14 times, right? He said he felt threatened because Tory had came into his cell and showed him a knife. Okay? This is what Santino claims. And says that after they so-called squashed their beef, here comes Tory showing him this knife. And, Santino said he felt threatened by that. And that's when he attacked Lanez. And he says that during that attack, he picked up Lanez. He wasn't trying to kill him. He said, he just wanted him to know, he said, look at me, mother. Right? Said he wanted to get the satisfaction out of Lanez looking them, eye to eye. Hey, I did this to you, man. Yeah, I told you to stop fucking around. Now look at you. You done found out. And then he said he kicked Lanez in the ass and sent him on his way before Lanez bailed down those steps, bloody and screaming help.
And who saved them?
I let him go. I picked him up. I told him, like, look at me. He looked at me, and then I just slammed him on the floor and kind of kicked the back of his butt with my foot, like pushed him, let him run away.
And then at the end of the interview, he kind of chuckles and says, well, he knows. He knows what happened. Wow. Check it out. Run it.
And did he run away, or did he crawl away, or how did he get away?
He ran, screaming. He knows. He knows.
What exactly took place between you and Tory Lanez that day that you stabbed him allegedly?
Okay. That day, nothing much took place that day. Everything led up to that day, but that day I just came out in the morning to tell him, good morning. And I told him what's up. Give him a little fist bump, ask him if everything is good. We had a little situation the night before and the day before.
So what was the situation the night before and the day before?
So I heard some rumors that he was trying to put money on my head. He felt uncomfortable living next to him. Said I was a threat. So I confronted him. And then I found out the same thing. He tried to put money on my head, so he said I put money on his head. We had a little discussion or whatever. So the next morning, that night, he said some shit. Okay. So the next morning, I came out and see if everything was good. Said your mom, talked to him. He said, yeah. So I was going back into my cell. And when I looked back, instead of going to cell, he was walking towards my door. He stood in front of my cell, looked at his boys, made a little smirk. And when he showed me what he had and something in his pocket, I just rushed him.
What did he have in his pocket?
I just rushed him. What he showed me looked to me like I believed it could be a weapon at the time. So I rushed him and I just snatched him. I just took advantage of him. He was weak. I just threw him all over and I just kept slamming him and stabbing him. And
Were you trying to kill him?
No, not at all. But I thought there was a weapon. I thought ready. And when I felt like a sting in my leg, I felt like, oh shit, stab me. So I moved back and I kept stabbing more. And I seen that he threw something, so I was like, oh, this is that. So I just kept going. After he was yelling, hell, screaming, please help me. I just treat him once and I tried protection and I said, I'm like, look at me. And then I just let him go. Like, I was saying, like, man, trying to kill me.
What were you guys like? I know why, but why would he pick you out of all people to want to put money on your head? Well, what was the beef exactly about?
It was really no beef. He just talked a lot. And I had confronted him a while back about old things around me. Like, I'll take a fade, I'll knife up, I'll put a place. And to me, I feel like the second, third time you heard that in a conversation, I was like, man, what you trying to say? So I approached him and told him that the son, like, just go, I'll come to your cell, we'll do whatever, like, let's play this game, because I felt like he was kind of antagonizing me, like, testing me, like, if someone was afraid or something. We were cool at the beginning, we were cool for like a year. We chilled, kicked it together, everything. They did.
Oh, they're not on that type of prison yard, Rochelle.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They got like little infractions, but she was more like he was different. He started kicking it with certain people, you know. And when he started being mad, that's kind of when we had our little misunderstandings and we stopped talking as much. But we were neighbors for a while. I've been knowing him for about 2 years already.
Okay. And during the situation when you and him grew a friendship?
Yeah, we were cool. We chilled, we ate, we drank, we partied, kicked it. Yeah, we were good.
to get off the yard?
Oh, he said double whatever I was offering, but I never made that offer. That's what I never understand. He said that someone told him I offered people money to get rid of him. So he said he would give that person double and some dope and stuff. But truth be told, I never offered no money. Like, why would I offer somebody something I could do? It didn't make sense. But once he yelled and made threats and I'll have you killed and, you know, have a run up to you, sir, all that comments and I felt like already threatened my life. There's nothing else to do but confront you. And that's what happened the next morning. I asked him what we could. He said, yeah, that's cool. And when I went to my cell, he followed me. Like I said earlier.
Do you have any regrets of stabbing him?
Regret? Oh, shit.
Because you stabbed him 14 times.
Yeah. I know that. I wish I could do certain things over, you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, I felt like he threatened my life. So, I mean, I can't. So it actually felt necessary to me at the time, like the whole, in the moment, him coming to my cells, you know, showing, grabbing his pocket, like, nah, I felt like, nah, it's it. So I can't say I regret taking a stand for myself. No, not at all. I mean, I feel remorseful in a sense because it really didn't have to go that far, but, I mean, he made his decisions and I made mine.
Now, in response to the interview, Lanez's legal team said that the recent attempt on his life was savage and ferocious, underscoring the clear and present danger he faces while incarcerated. Any claim to the contrary, particularly from an individual serving a life sentence for heinous crimes, is not only baseless, but an absurd fabrication. Wow. And they also added this. His continued confinement is both a miscarriage of justice and a threat to his safety. He must be released immediately. The Canadian rapper was stabbed 14 times totally and reported that the prison staff reported to the attack immediately and gave Lanez prompt medical aid before he was transferred to the hospital. Lanez is expected to survive, even though he suffered serious injuries from the attack, with both of his lungs collapsing, resulting in him being put on a breathing machine by doctors. According to the family, the father of Lanez said he was moved from that prison for his safety. Since then, the doctor said that Lanez is on a road to recovery, and it's one of the fastest recoveries that they've ever seen, right? And this guy is, prospering from this stabbing incident very, very successfully. And they're saying that his lawyers are currently using the incident to attempt to get him a pardon from the California governor, Gavin Newsom. But that has been met with silence by the politician, while Megan herself blasted Lanez's most recent bid for freedom after he was almost killed. That's cold-blooded. So y'all get in the comment section, man. That's the rundown right there. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this entire situation. And until the next time, this is OG Jacario TV with the latest in rap, hip-hop, celebrity, and urban news. You're watching the Rundown Podcast. I appreciate everybody for spinning with me. I appreciate all my subscribers for sliding with your boy every time. And say, man, hey, man, keep hitting that like button, keep hitting that subscribe button, and look, turn on post notification so we can slide whenever I get the drop. You already know what it is, man. It's deep in the Buddha, her, you hear me? And guess what? I'm gone.